Good evening, Asheville. Just checking in for my daily, just like heart-to-heart talk with you guys. I'm gonna go over, I guess, the last 3 or 4 films that I did. Just as a recap, sometimes I do this in podcast form, but figured I'd just kind of do this here as I'm putting Maverick to sleep and have a bit of time. So first and foremost, and I'll give like more updates and details in the days to come, we're moving. So if you're in the Asheville area and you have a place to rent, let me know in the comments below, and we can set up a time to tour and figure that out. But like I said, we'll talk more in the coming days. So the first, or I guess the very last, let's see. So we did Let's Talk, iPhone 12, should you upgrade, coronavirus, 1.11 million dead, vote for change, and DriveIn Movie. And I also did a documentary on Farmingham. That was a little while ago. So the DriveIn Movie, I think before this I was having a really hard creative spell, trying to figure out ways to include. See, the thing about filmmaking, right? I'm just going to go off on a little bit of tangent, but the thing about filmmaking, I was struggling with this for a while, is when I first started, the big thing that I wanted to show, the big thing that I wanted to share was like my day-to-day, my life, capturing all that so that my kids can look back at that, so I can look back at that. And I did that for a good long time. I think I did that for like daily for I think 100, 120, 130 vlogs. And what I've figured out after a while is that I'm not going to worry about trying to like get this all. I'm just going to focus as I talk. What I figured out in that first take of me putting out those first 120 vlogs is that a lot of what you see film-wise is polarized. And what I mean by that is like you're seeing the highlights, you're seeing the best of the best, the times when I'm smiling, the times when the kids are absolutely happy. Just you're seeing highlights. And the more and more that I got into it, the more I it felt a little bit weird because I wanted to kind of capture everything. But at the same time, you have to respect privacy. You also have to, like, maybe the kids don't want to be on camera when they're crying. So there's a lot that kind of goes into that. And I finally came to a point where I decided to moreover film myself, like my walking to, in the vlogs where it's like a lot of wide angle stuff, and I'm walking and going to work and going back and stuff like that. That stuff was really cool too, but then I was like, well, I haven't included the family in this in a long time. And so long story short, I had a lot of back and forth as to the rights and the wrongs of sharing my life, also the kids, my wife, all that type of stuff. And I think where I've come to now is more, there will be a bit of, the kiddos and stuff like that, but it's not trying to replicate what every single day is like. Every day is probably going to be more, or the films that I put out that are more focused on a specific topic like voting. And it may happen that, Laura's in it, or Eden and King and Titan, like, that may happen to be the fact of the matter, or there may be an event, but I'm not trying to showcase exactly what life is, because that's in a sense impossible to do in film without, not respecting everyone around you. So the DriveIn Movie, that kind of was one of those moments where it felt good. We went to go see a simple drive-in movie with the kiddos, which we hadn't done anything in weeks, months, whatever. And it was a good spark. It was a very short film that I did, and I felt good about it. The vote for change. After I did the drive-in movie, I decided I go back and forth between vertical film and like wide traditional film work. And at that moment, I decided, okay, I'm going to go ahead and stick with wide for now. And it may change up in the future, but with that, it allows me to actually do a lot of traditional things that I used to do, the things that you would know Will Mosley vlogs for. And I felt like I had like this moment, I guess, a month or so ago where I felt like I had like imposter syndrome, where I was just trying to recreate what everyone else was doing versus like what worked for me, what the style I came to know and use. So that the film Vote for Change was really getting back to that, but also adding on to a lot of things that I'd learned. So the difference there was typically I'd like I'd reverse and try to recreate something that I've seen, but instead in the Vote for Change one, I filmed it entirely as though like I used to, like the Will style. And if you look at that film, you'll know what I'm talking about. And then I went over after doing a rough and added in all these different elements that I've learned over the past couple months, so that it always has that skeleton, that structure, and vibe, and I like it that way. Coronavirus, 1.11 million dead. Like, it's hard to even fathom those numbers, and it's crazy to think that I did a film when coronavirus first started, when it was saying 29,000 dead, and now we're at 1.11 million. And it's impossible for you to not, hear about this, not see it in your day-to-day. Either it's the presidential debate or it's coronavirus. And it's easy to just like almost turn off our sensors, our everything to it, because we're just hearing it nonstop all the time. But I think it just was one of those moments that really hit me, and I was like, man, like, that's a lot of people dead, just point blank period. And so I felt as though I needed to create a film to at least share some of my voice into, what's going on. iPhone 12, should you upgrade? This came a little bit later than I wanted it to come. I wanted to kind of create this film right after the Apple event, but I was more drawn to the coronavirus film, so I decided to do that instead. This one was more about not specifically just like iPhone 12, the best of the best type stuff. It was more over like why Apple fans love Apple. Yes, they're a big, tech company that has all your data, etc., etc., etc. But the great thing about iPhones is it just works. So even if you dropped, that $1,000 on the new iPhone 12, or you buy whatever phone from Apple, you just know that it's going to work almost every single time that you turn it on and use it. And you don't get that, with Android and anyone else. So that's what that one was about. So check that one out. Let's Talk was me trying to figure out a bit of like, let me focus this, a bit of like the new talking head setups. I don't want to do absolutely so many of these that I decide to stop doing creative films, but there is something to being able to just talk to you as I want to and need to and feel like I should, without any fuss, without any setup, without anything crazy that has to happen. And this is what this is. Honestly, I explained a little bit of it in the previous one, but I've gotten to the point where I'm able to use. I've gotten to this point where I'm able to use or manipulate light pretty good to my liking, and instead of having a big old dome light pointed down, I'm actually using a Godox that's pointed at a 501 big old circle reflector, and that light's being bounced back to me. So it's going like this, and then it's going right back. And I think it looks all right. It's not the absolute best, but it's good enough for me. And then I did do a documentary on farming hemp. That was about a month ago that I released that. I actually did that a couple months ago, but I had to get it all approved and finalized and all that type of stuff. So that one's doing really well. It was definitely a good experience for my own self, to kind of see the farming process and understand what really goes in behind it all. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. If you do need an e-commerce store or a website that just works, like if you're tired of like your broken website that you've paid all these different developers to try to fix or hack together like Frankenstein, look no further. I can build you a custom e-commerce store or website that you can manipulate, customize, do 90% of what you need to do without any of the crazy web tech headaches. If you're interested and need one, go over to heywillmosley.com. Again, that's heywillmosley, MOSLEY.com to get a quote, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.